Imagine you want to start a revolution, but you cannot gather for a meeting, you cannot write a message, you cannot send a letter, you cannot even gather in public. In that kind of situation, what do you do? In colonial Yoruba land, women could not gather freely, they could not organize openly, and they could not protest without risk. So they built a system so sophisticated, so hidden in plain sight that even the British didn't see it coming. They built it in fabric. And the fabric that it was built in was called adireleko. Adireleko is divided in grid squares whereby the women know what motif to put at the hip and which motif to leave outside for people to see, for people who are revolutionaries to see it and know that yes, this woman stands with us. They tie it separately, they tie it in a fashionable way, of course, but you get to see what they stand for and who they are standing for and who they are standing with based on what they are wearing at the time. It was a silent revolution. So if you are revolutionaries in that time and you walk around the market, women at the market stall can see what you are wearing and know if you are part of the alliance or if you are for the British. Those who were for the British wore plain clothes to stand in alliance with the whites, while those who stood in alliance with the local chiefs and local kings wore the adire. And not just people who stood with local kings wore adire, by the way. People who were tired of the situation of the colonial era at the time also wore certain motifs to show their frustration because they could not voice it out. Most times when they voiced it out, it was either they were taken to the land of no return or they were killed, or their properties were taken away, or they just had to suffer a whole consequence for voicing out the hardship they were going through. We had motifs like okoto, which is also known as spinning top, which signified that the time of the colonial regime was running out. So people who wore that motif around their clothes, people who wore it on their adiredeko, just wore it around. You wouldn't know what it means because it's just a spinning top. It's whoever is able to decode the symbol that can tell what the symbol itself says. Like I said, a silent revolution. So walking around with that adiredeko, to the British eye, it was like, oh, it's such a beautiful fabric. Oh, it's such a wonderful looking thing. But to us, it was a headline. So whatever you see somebody wearing at the time, you go, okay, this is what's going on. This is how it is. This is what it is. This is what I should expect. Because one, a jacket, very like buying sorrow. You know what I'm talking about. So instead of you exchanging how you feel to each other, you can share your grievances through what you wear, and people are able to catch that up from however you present yourself in your adireleko. The complexity of adireleko is something that keeps blowing my mind till this day, even as a textile artist. Then, if you wanted to know the difference between the people who are wearing the adire then, the faded ones that looked something like this, like very, very faded, very much faded indigo, signified the everyday wear, everyday life, just a casual wear, a casual adireleko. But the deep looking ones, the deeper adireleko, the midnight blue adireleko, meant solidarity, meant I am ready to join this alignment, I'm ready to join this revolution, I am ready and I'm standing with you. So people who were insiders understood what it meant, but an outsider was just, oh yeah, different shades of blue. So when thousands of women came wearing midnight blue, it wasn't just fashion. It wasn't even fashion anymore. It was a declaration of war. And it showed that we were ready for what we came for. And at the end of the day, as you can see, we got it. How do we get it? At the Releko. It was a means we used to get it, but we used it for our silent revolution. The Yaloja was in charge of picking the fabrics and the Adereleko that were going to be used for protest or the ones that were going to be used for the market closure. And if you appeared in plain clothes, all of us will know what you are standing here for. You are standing with the British, first of all. And second of all, was you are a British sympathizer. Who wants to hang out with people like you? Like, you see your people being killed and you're still sympathizing with the killer. Like, you need to get your brain checked. So they were flagged, obviously. In that time, your fabric your fabric itself is your ballot. So by what you wear, we'll know who you stand for. We'll know if you're for the devil or if you're for God. You pick your side. But here is the part that stood with me. Even the colonial government had to seek permits for political gathering. The women could not hold rallies. So all they could do was dye fabric. And they did. Dozens of women gathered around the indigo pots, working, planning, sharing intelligence, coordinating strikes, deciding on which pattern they should work on next for the next protest and for the next message to pass across to the community. The dying compound was their war room, and the British never stepped inside. And when Mrs. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti started organizing women against the colonial taxation, she also made a very quick decision. She removed the European dress forever, permanently. She and every leader of Abeokuta Women's Union adopted Adire as their official political attire. Adire became the one fabric that erased the dividing line. And on the day they marched to the Alake's palace, 10,000 women, one color, midnight blue. A sea of indigo that declared war without even trying, without even mentioning it. Those who saw it knew what it stood for. And they understood that the women were not going to end it. The women were not going to go. The women were not going to stop until they got what they wanted. You couldn't even get the Adire without being part of the network, because the women who designed the fabrics painted resistance on every fold of the fabric. So it wasn't just fashion, it wasn't a fashion statement, it wasn't a way of feeling good, it wasn't even a way of looking good, even though it made them look extremely good. And this is how our Yoruba free women moved in an occupied land. At Alagbada Atelier, we are here to pass that message forward. Do not let a situation stop you from getting what you deserve. Go for what you deserve. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a nice day. Bye.